Justice Honyenuga, he's reported to have said something as a chief in respect of the president's tenure. It's said to be a very controversial issue. Minority have been very upset with it. Civil society have not been particularly happy with it. Imani, for instance, is calling for him to be rejected as a justice of the Supreme Court based on that. He didn't succeed with the unanimity of the appointments committee, so he now has to go to the committee of the whole. Well, should his apology be accepted? Should he have apologized?
Well, first of all, I think that we need to, or at least let me just say what I understand about all this process. You see, the criteria for the appointment of a person to the what we call the Superior Court of Judicature, High Court, Court of Appeal, and Supreme Court is substantially the same. So that a Court of Appeal judge, until he's removed, unless in our case, in all cases, I should say, once you get to the Court of Appeal, in most cases you are even more than 20 years at the bar before you can. So that it means that the only bar may be whether or not you are 15 years at the bar to qualify you to the Supreme Court. And most Court of Appeal judges are way more than that number of years at the bar. So it means almost all, in fact, all the Court of Appeal judges we have now are also qualified to be at the Supreme Court. I think so far, if I'm not mistaken, Chebafo may be the youngest in terms of years at the bar, but he's already 20 years. You understand? So he's even qualified to be at the Supreme Court.
What's the point you're making?
So the point is that the vetting of a person at the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court should be viewed in terms of not whether or not he's qualified by the criteria prescribed by the Constitution to be at the Supreme Court. Because he's already qualified for being a Court of Appeal judge.
So he can say anything he likes about a major political actor.
No, just a second. But so the vetting, in my view, of a Court of Appeal judge who is also more than 15 years or more at the bar, it is only about assessment of his work as a judge or assessment of his work as a lawyer, because some are also going just as lawyers and not even as judges. So can we say that a lawyer can profess that a particular political party or even associates himself with a politician, but he's qualified to go to the Supreme Court, but a judge is not? The reason why people may say that is that some are looking at the code of ethics of the judges, that thou shalt not endorse a person who is contesting a general election, for example. I'm just paraphrasing. First of all, at the time that this statement was made by the judge, first, he made the statement as a chief. I have not seen any law that bars judges from being chiefs. In fact, there are about a couple more or so judges of the Superior Court or another court who are also chiefs. And even at least another one who is a paramount chief of a very huge, important, massive
so the point you're making system. Is that.
So my point is that the vetting should, in my view, rather be about assessment of the work that the person has done. Because if by making the statement he had disqualified himself from being a judge, then someone may have filed a petition for his removal. And so far that hasn't happened. So that is an admission by all of us that what he did, it does not qualify him to be a judge or a Superior Court judge. And so he's still qualified to be a Supreme Court judge. In any case, that statement that was made, I understand, and I think he said that it was a document that was written for him to read on behalf of other chiefs and his people in the area. Now, number two, you will see that at that time, the president had not even expressed his intention, or if he did, it was just a mere intention. As it stands now, some even argue that until the MPP goes for their primaries and they endorse the president.
So you are saying
so I'm saying that.
So Justice Honyenuga, who's the Chief Justice, if he happens to be the chief of Kodiabe, for instance, and there's a chieftaincy event, he's able to say that Nana Akufo-Addo can get a second term.
Well, no, I mean,
his role as a Supreme Court judge.
No, in the context, if the person expresses a view that my people believe that the president has provided the necessary leadership qualities, expanded development in our area, and my people believe that he should be given a second term. You see, Paul, just to conclude, because there's no time, I always say that one thing that God has blessed us with, above all others, is to provide us, if I may say so, with bold and fearless judges. Look, in most cases, you remember when MPP was in opposition, even during the early days of this constitutional dispensation. MPP versus Attorney General, MPP versus 31st December case, GBC. The MPP who were in opposition were rather winning more cases. And most of these judges had been appointed by President Rawlings even when he was in the PNDC, and some had continued. And there are many examples where our judges don't care about how they were appointed and who did so. They will rule against you if you're a government and you are wrong. It doesn't matter whether the person on the other side is a small person like me in terms of stature or status in life. Right, so my point is that let us give our judges the benefit of applying the law, their knowledge of their knowledge of the law, the evidence, and their belief in God or Allah, or the faith they have sworn and the oath they have taken, and the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. If at any point in time you think a judge had abandoned this and you have exhausted all the remedies provided by law, some will say you give it to God in prayer. But there are other provisions that can enable you to even bring impeachment proceedings against a judge if there is sufficient grounds for it. And the judicial service has also, in addition, by themselves, established an office where you can even make complaints against particular judge. But I'm saying that so far, let us have absolute belief, strong belief, conviction in our court, and especially in our judges, and just test everything that we believe is resolvable by law. And we are not like in America, so where you are
confident that the judges will show fidelity to the law, irrespective, no, they do. Irrespective of what they say.
But of course, when even your client loses a case, even you, the lawyer, you feel so much pain. Sometimes even more than your client. But that is the beauty of it. That's why there are other layers of divisions of the court where you can even climb up to the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court. Sometimes if there are sufficient legal grounds, you go for review. But litigation must end. In any case. So, in my view, I think that Justice Honyenuga, look, I have no apology to say that this Justice for All program, perhaps it's his baby. And the number of people that through him and his committee and his leadership have been discharged from prisons where they had no business being there. But we had abandoned them, we had forgotten about them. I'm sure if we were to cast votes, perhaps these people and the thousands of their relatives would have voted for him. So let us give him the benefit. And I pray that Parliament should form a consensus, not just on a partisan line, but form a consensus and just vote for him in total. They may not even have to go to plenary. If they have any other form of, if the committee itself has the power, they are masters of their own rules, to review their decision, I think they should do so and clear him, and I can bet that he will really discharge. You know, people have their own,
be a very good judge.
Their own dispositions.
I like the justice for all thing that you talk about.
Oh yes, the justice for all.
That was something noble, very noble that he led.
I can tell you, if you are one of them who had been in prison for 19 years just on remand, only because you have been forgotten.
If viewers don't know, this was the program that judges and lawyers went into the court and became lawyers for remand prisoners, argued before the court and got them out.
Yes.
A lot of them got out.
Yes. Yeah. And this man, if I have, with all apologies, that is his baby. And he had, through that, many people have had justice. It's one of the most important achievements that even the judiciary itself has struck for us.
I have a politician coming on after you. So
I thank you so much.
We have to leave. But that's an excellent
Thank
advocacy about everything that you have said. So when is Yaw Oppong getting nomination for the Supreme Court? We can't wait.
God is good.